Welcome to Doing More. I'm Erica Cardenas. Today we're here at the YWCA Metropolitan Phoenix celebrating National Women's History Month, a time where we celebrate the accomplishments of women in history, culture, and society. Every year, March is designated as National Women's History Month made by presidential proclamation. The month is set aside to honor women and encourage the study, observance, and celebration of the vital role women have made and are making in our nation. It's a time we honor women's accomplishments, leadership, courage, strength, sacrifices, and love. Just like the women of the YWCA Metropolitan Phoenix, an organization whose mission is to eliminate all forms of racism and empower women. Take a look.
YWCA Metropolitan Phoenix has been in the Phoenix area for 111 years. From that time, we've been focusing on our mission of eliminating racism and empowering women, provide important services throughout the community, part of a national organization that has over 200 associations nationwide. So we're very pleased to be a part of that organization as well. In the Glendale area, and that's where our headquarters is now, for over 40 years, one of our primary programs, our senior meals and our senior nutrition program is based here in Glendale, where we cook and deliver and have congregate meals for older adults here in the Glendale area. The mission is critical. It combines both the elimination of racism and the empowerment of women, plus peace and dignity and freedom and justice. You can't look at just one piece of that mission and try to solve some of the issues in our communities. You have to look at the intersection of those aspects, race and gender, in order to make some significant progress, because what impacts women often also impacts people of color. And if the woman is a person of color, then that impact is even more significant and the barriers are more challenging. So we do a lot of workshops so that individuals can grow. We also do learning cohorts so that organizations can grow and see how these intersections of race and gender are impacting their programming and how they may inadvertently be creating barriers for access. Our prosperity programs, which I'm very excited about, we're in a new revamp phase in that, because it's not just about financial education. That's one tiny part of it, but really what is it that helps a person thrive and really come into their own prosperity and abundance? And so that's where those programs are headed. We really value our corporate partners, especially Cox. Roxanne Wingate is actually one of the officers on our board, and she's been a part of our board for probably 3 years now. Most people call it Women's History Month. We call it Women's HerStory Month or Women's Empowerment Month, because we're not looking just backwards, we're also looking forward to all the incredible things that women and girls will do to help our community. On my wall at home that says, I want every girl to know that her voice matters. And the work that we do here, I believe, helps us do that, and really to let all the women and the girls see that not only are they worthy, but they're more than ready to step into these leadership roles and to create the roles if they can't see them. We're equal, we're powerful, and we are unstoppable.
The YWCA is committed to empowering women and providing programs and services that equip women with the tools they need to impact their lives, their families' lives, and the lives of women around them. For more information, go to ywcaaz.org. What a great way of empowering women. I'll be right back with more on Doing More right after this. Welcome back to Doing More. I'm Erica Cardenas. We're here at the YWCA Metropolitan Phoenix in celebration and observance of National Women's History Month. Did you know that March 8th is known as International Women's Day? It's a global day celebrating the social, economic, cultural, and political achievements of women. The day also marks a call to action for accelerating women's equality. A global holiday celebrated as a focal point in the women's rights movement, bringing attention to issues such as gender equality, reproductive rights, violence, and abuse against women. And speaking of incredible women, we visited the 12th Annual Arizona Hispanic Chamber of Commerce Power of the Purse Women in Wellness event. Take a look.
The Arizona Hispanic Chamber of Commerce is celebrating our 12th annual Power of the Purse event, focusing on women in wellness. We have a wonderful lineup of speakers talking about holistic health, why it's so important, particularly for women and women executives and women business owners, to make sure that they're not only taking care of their businesses, they're not only taking care of their families, but that they're taking care of themselves and practicing very important and critical self-care. One of the things that we host here at the Power of the Purse every year is a mini expo to really showcase our businesses, whether you're Latina, whether you're African American, whether you're Asian. All women contribute substantially, not only to the family, but to the economy.
I think here at the Chamber, we all work really hard in making all of these things happen for our community, and we think it's very important to make them happen because we like to highlight different things that are going on, things that are pressing, questions that want to be answered, things that want to be shared, things that want to be talked about. We hope that everybody gets to enjoy, the fruits that come out of it.
Women are an incredible force, and if you put us in charge, stuff gets done. And I think the world could benefit from listening to what we have to say. Putting a whole group of us together to learn from each other and hear each other is fabulous.
I think about the women that will come after us, our succession plan, right? I know I stand on the shoulders of greatness. Great women who were brave enough, who were able to trailblaze so that I could walk that path. And recognizing women and lifting up women really helps us decrease that parity gap. We know that today Latinas are still making 54 cents on the dollar, and that in their lifetime they will lose $1.2 million in income. And so it's important to understand that we must do everything we possibly can to decrease that gender pay gap, to make sure that women are valued just like everyone else in society.
It really feels like a dream for me personally because I could have not imagined to be in a space with so many like-minded women.
Having a mentor in your life is paramount. Having someone that you know would have your back, you can confide in and help you and guide you, who you can bounce ideas off of, can give you advice, so you feel comfortable being who you are in your station. That's amazing, and that is the power of a strong womanhood.
Arizona Hispanic Chamber of Commerce mission is to promote the success of Hispanic-owned businesses by facilitating business relationships, economic development, and sharing of knowledge for the benefits of the state of Arizona and the growth and success of its members. For more information, go to azhcc.com. We caught up with Delma Herrera, Vice President of Field Sales West Region at Cox Communications, as she shares her story. Take a look.
We've had a really long-term relationship with CPLC and Cox, and through that partnership we've done several things. A large one, which is near and dear to my heart just based on my own childhood experiences, is the Esperanza Awards. So really recognizing teachers in the Latino community who help children who need that voice to help them and feel proud of themselves. We also do a lot of work with Connect to Compete. We partner on computers and laptops and going out to the community, whether it's schools, parks, other community areas, and adults, the elderly community, to teach them how to use computers and to help them get connected through Connect to Compete or through the ACP program. So that partnership is fantastic because CPLC has that grassroots opportunity that we can come in from Cox and really partner and help the community. I've really always seen myself as someone who's lucky to be where I am. My parents taught me a lot about hard work and determination, and just to continue just watching them and the example that they set. And so the values at Cox really align with mine. It's a great family business. It's people who care about their communities. Cox cares about taking care of the communities where we live and work. And that's important to me because I want to not only live there, but I want to give back. And Cox has allowed that through this partnership, and CPLC has been an amazing partner to get it done. There's always more to do to help women and women of color, women in general, really. in so many different ways. One of the first ways that we all as women have to really focus on to help one another is we tend as women to be afraid of taking that next step. And so we often question ourselves, and so we don't even take that first step many times because we're afraid. And so as women, we need to help each other really have that confidence to take that first step, and then we can help to get rid of all the barriers together. But the first step, in my opinion, is to get us all to really take that step forward and then lift each other up. One role model in specific that I've had for the 20 years almost that I've been at Cox is my boss, Sheila Hicks. And so when I first came into the company, she was the first sales vice president at Cox. So it was a whole new role. And I was recruited over to Cox and I worked with her. She promoted me into a director role a couple years after I was there. And she eventually went on to other areas of the business and career. And I watched her career. I now work for her again. And she came back and she's the national senior vice president of sales at Cox. And so watching her career and knowing her from the beginning of my career at Cox has really been an inspiration for me. And she is supportive, she is accountable, she is caring, and she's driven. And watching that through my career has been pretty incredible.
Don't go away, we'll be right back. Welcome back to Doing More, where we shine a light on the good things happening in our communities. I'm Erica Cardenas. Today we're here at the YWCA Metropolitan Phoenix celebrating National Women's History Month. Women's History Month is a dedicated month to reflect on the often overlooked contributions of women to U.S. history. From Abigail Adams to Susan B. Anthony, Sojourner Truth to Rosa Parks, the timeline of women's history milestones stretches back to the founding of the U.S. We headed to Louisiana, where Baton Rouge Green gets involved to help create sustainable communities. Take a look.
Baton Rouge Green supports the community by providing enhancements to the urban canopy. When the organization was first developed, it was seen as beautification, but now over time the organization has evolved. It's enhancing the infrastructure by providing stormwater, by providing carbon capture, and by providing trees that do just everything that trees provide for us in terms of making our environment healthy and more livable. When Baton Rouge Green was started, it was in a period of time where we didn't really view trees and natural systems as a part of our infrastructure. And Baton Rouge Green has spent the last 40 years making sure that that actually is ultimately elevated to where the natural system is an integral part of our infrastructure and not just an afterthought.
Baton Rouge Green is a nonprofit formed in 1987 by some concerned citizens who saw that the Baton Rouge canopy was being decimated by development and that there was not a lot of focus on preservation. So they formed the organization to not only try to convince people to be more cautious and careful and thoughtful about preserving the canopy, but also to expand it where possible.
Community support is very important for an organization like Baton Rouge Green. It's the lifeblood of a nonprofit organization. We need community support in terms of financial support, but also in terms of involvement and in terms of advocacy for providing a stronger canopy and making Baton Rouge a healthier, safer place.
We would encourage people who want to get involved with Baton Rouge Green to consider a couple of options. Number one, obviously membership is critical. We need support. We need people in our family to help us not only advance the cause, but to learn more about how to be part of developing this urban canopy and protecting it. Baton Rouge Green membership is critical to our operations. Our members are our roots. They donate the funds that help keep the lights on and keep us going. And there are citizens from all over the area that donate anywhere from $15 to $1,000. Number two, we need businesses and families to help support our Living Roadways program, which is entirely privately funded. We take care of 4,000 roadway trees in perpetuity on a constant basis, and that is completely funded by private donations and companies sponsoring those sites. And that's anywhere from $1,500 to $15,000 a year. We spend time every year planting trees with kids in schools or even churches, public green spaces, and we need people to bring us those opportunities. Finally, volunteering obviously is critical. We have a couple of opportunities each year where our friends and volunteers can get their hands dirty, either planting trees or picking fruit.
I've been a volunteer with Baton Rouge Green for probably about 15 years now. In the early days, just as an interested community citizen, a tree nerd who just loves and respects what plants have to offer for community health. So the team at Baton Rouge Green is unique because it is a group of individuals who are highly educated not only in urban forestry and in horticulture, but also in landscape architecture and in community engagement.
And now let's take a look at Special Olympics Arizona, an organization who's empowering athletes and focusing on what they can do and not what they can't.
Today we're having our annual state basketball and cheer competition. We have 100 teams from all over the state coming to compete over the next 2 days. Special Olympics Arizona, most people know it as an organization for people with intellectual disabilities to compete in sports and competitions. But what most people don't know is that there's more than that. It's actually the largest public health organization for people with intellectual disabilities. And it also has in-school leadership and social inclusion programming, as well as athlete leadership programming, which is one of the initiatives that's supported by Cox Communications. Our programs develop and our athletes get more and more opportunities to get involved in their community and provide a more inclusive environment for Arizona as a whole. Basketball and cheer is the season that we have right now, but this will mark the end of our spring season and we'll transition into our summer season, which will include track and field, athletics, powerlifting, and volleyball. Getting to know the athletes and getting to talk to them and hear their experiences, they'll tell you themselves what this means to them. And it's more than just getting to play sports, it's getting to be a part of a team environment, it's getting to feel included, it's getting to come out and compete in their community, in their state, and at this level representing their state, which means they are the champions from all over Arizona. A favorite quote of mine that comes from an athlete friend named Bruce is that I have a disability, but I'm not disabled. And I think that can carry a lot of weight if people go into that mindset, recognizing our athletes are just people like everybody else.
I've done it every year since 2009, I believe. It just made me happy knowing that there's other people like me out there. So I've taken home countless gold, silver, and bronze medals. A couple of fourth and fifth place, but won't talk about those. Winning those events made me feel very happy and empowered. With the ability of the Special Olympics Arizona Health Program, I've been able to get some much needed dental work done, provided by Studio B Smiles and Devin Booker of the Phoenix Suns. It would not have been possible without Special Olympics Arizona.
I think if you ask them, they might tell you they want to walk away with the gold medal, which is always a positive, but if nothing else, I want them to walk away knowing they had a good time and a great experience. And so something that I think is a common misconception about Special Olympics is that we're not competitive. We're a feel-good organization and we have athletes that just come out to play for fun, but that's not true. Our athletes, they work for weeks and months and they train hard and they exercise and eat right to come out here and they want to win. And so even if they don't win, I hope that they have an elevated experience and feel like they were a part of something meaningful in a high-level tournament.
We'll be back with more on Doing More right after this. Welcome back to Doing More. We're celebrating National Women's History Month here at the YWCA Metropolitan Phoenix. Our final stop was in Tucson, Arizona, where the Tucson Audubon Society undertook a massive 3-year effort to replant 14,000 saguaros. Take a look.
Saguaros are the first thing that pop into people's minds when they think of Arizona or the desert in general. But for 14 different kinds of birds, they're also a hotel. That's where they live. But it's also the grocery store. Saguaros are flowering and fruiting in May and June when the desert is crispy brown and dry. It's the only good food out there for lots of different types of birds. So without saguaros providing those key food resources in that really dry time, it would just make the desert that much more inhospitable. There are two main threats. The first is wildfire, and the bushfire outside of Phoenix a couple of years ago wiped out over 400,000 mature saguaros and lost years of living because saguaros can live for 200 to 300 years. The second major threat for saguaros right now is two different aspects of a changing climate. The first piece of that is that winters are having more frequent big freezes, and freezes are one of the things that can kill saguaros. The second thing is that saguaros are really picky about what type of precipitation they need in order to sprout and survive. And because of increasing variation in our rainfall patterns, it's really unusual that we get a wet monsoon, a wet winter, and then another wet monsoon, all back to back, which is what a saguaro needs. And all of the climate models are predicting that to get less frequent, just making it harder and harder for saguaros into the future. We're trying to tackle the main threats to the saguaros using different aspects. The first is where there are, we're trying to make sure that they don't get lost due to wildfires. And so we're working really hard with a huge consortium of people to try to make sure that invasive plants don't get a foothold there that could lead to wildfires. The second piece that we're doing is where fires have already occurred. We're trying to go in and jumpstart the reestablishment of saguaros in those areas by planting little saguaro seedlings, only a few inches tall, but big enough and hardy enough that they're able to survive without being irrigated. The third thing is that in areas that are not currently good saguaro habitat, but that all the climate models suggest will become good saguaro habitat 100 years from now, we're trying to help saguaros migrate to those areas by planting slightly bigger saguaros in those areas. There are lots of ways that the average person can help in all of our work, but especially with the Saguaro Project. You can volunteer to help us plant saguaros when we have volunteer days. You and your neighbors can make sure that you're removing bufflegrass and stinknet from your neighborhood when you find it. We've got options for joining with your friends and neighbors to donate and adopt a saguaro or adopt a saguaro seedling. Even if you can't be out there directly planting it yourself, you can sponsor somebody else to plant a saguaro for you. If you'd like to know more, check us out online. We'd love to work with you to protect our beautiful desert.
I want to thank the YWCA Metropolitan Phoenix for sharing their HerStory and for celebrating National Women's History Month. Women's History Month is a great time to not only celebrate the extraordinary contributions women have made historically, but also a time to recognize the positive impact they have made in society. From women being our caregivers, nourishers, farmers, educators, scientists, entrepreneurs, and leaders throughout history, the central role of women in society has ensured the stability, progress, and long-term development of our nation. The Women Trailblazers' footprints will leave a mark of greatness, sharing her story for generations to come. So salutations to all my ladies. Keep moving to empower and encourage one another. I'm Erica Cardenas. Thanks so much for joining me. Happy Women's History Month.